At the time of this webinar, we are kind of in the thick of this COVID-19 pandemic. And if you're here today, you know what I'm talking about. And if you watch this at a later date, then you may remember back and be able to relate to some of the things that I'm going to reference here. Let me first start out by introducing myself. My name is Frank Gustafson. I'm the president of Strategic Training Partners, and we are a Sandler sales performance organization based in Fort Worth, Texas. And today we're going to talk about prospecting in uncertain times. We certainly are in uncertain times right now. Just about every day we hear something different going on and a different spin. And we're going to talk about prospecting during a time like that. So this webinar is going to go for about 30 minutes. I'm going to try to keep it a little under if I can. I can talk pretty dang fast here. And I'm not going to stop for questions, but feel free to put your questions in the comments or the chat below, and I will address those with you specifically in person through an email, or we can jump on the phone and talk about it. So I'm not going to do any of that right here. I want to get in here. I want to hit you with some truth, and I want to get you back to your busy life. Fair enough? So that said, again, comments in the bottom. So let's get this show on the road here. So we're in a pandemic crisis right now, and most, if not all, states are under a shelter-in-place order. I know Texas certainly is. And the economy has taken a huge downturn. Look at these two graphs here. Some of you may not be old enough to remember, but most of you probably are. 9/11, what happened September 11th, 2001? The economy pretty much stopped. Literally stopped, and then came back with a vengeance. And then in 2008, 2009, this is personal consumption expenditures and how things went down, and the market went way down, and then everything came back up. So having been in business during both of these, my personal experience is that when things like this happen, people typically do one of three things. And they fall into one of these three categories: fight, or flight, or freeze. Where do you see yourself? Which category are you in? Are you fighting? Are you running from it? Or are you freezing? And so that's a big question. And one that's almost as big is, where do you think your competitors stand right now? How do you think they're going to come out of this? Do you think they're going to come out stronger, or are they going to come out weaker? Look, the economy came roaring back in both of these scenarios. So what are you going to do right now to win as the economy comes back? I had a mentor of mine kind of describe it this way, and it made a lot of sense to me. It's kind of like having the clutch depressed on a car. You've got your foot on the clutch. The car's not going anywhere, but the engine is still running. Now, if you jerk your foot off the clutch, that turns that potential energy into kinetic energy, and everything lunges forward. And I think that that is what's going to happen in our economy. There's a lot of pent-up energy right now, and when this thing is over, we've got to be ready. So we've got to think about the way to beat everyone to the punch and not freeze and not run away from this situation that we're in right now. So I love to use the shopping cart method. You may have heard of this before. You may not have heard of it. But when you go to the grocery store, you typically pick out the things that you need, right? So some of the stuff that I'm going to give you today, you're going to need. I want you to put it in your cart and take it with you today. Some of this stuff you may feel like is not applicable to your market, so leave that stuff there. But before you decide to leave something here, I want you to really examine whether or not you can adapt the things that I'm talking about to your situation. And my guess is the vast majority of it, you certainly can. So the fact is that business is still happening. It's just happening differently. Doing things differently requires some change. And most of these changes are tiny. They're tiny little changes, but you've got to be willing to adapt. Old ways won't open new doors in this new normal. So what can we do about that? Well, it takes a different interaction, it takes a different way of speaking to your prospects and your suspects and your clients. And a different interaction requires different actions, which demands us to think differently. So if the interaction has changed for you in this day and age, and it's certainly no fault of your own. I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic, right? But you've got to change your way of thinking and really choose a brand new attitude. So first of all, what is an attitude? An attitude is a philosophy or a set of beliefs. I'm not necessarily talking about positive mental attitude, though having a positive mental attitude as we go through this certainly won't hurt you. But I'm talking about your philosophy or your beliefs, right? And this is what we call our behavior wheel, and this can be self-fulfilling. This prophecy is self-fulfilling, and it can either be positive or it can be negative. So your attitudes shape your beliefs, and your beliefs influence your judgments, and your judgments dictate your actions, and your actions will net you certain results, and your results will confirm your beliefs. So let me ask you, what is your attitude about prospecting? What is your brain telling you right now? Is it saying something like, man, people just don't want to hear from a salesperson right now? If that's what your belief is, then it leads to a negative judgment. Something like maybe, well, if I call people, I'm just bothering them. I feel like if I reach out in any way, I'm just bothering them. And that brings about an action or an inaction. So the inaction is the worst thing. The action might be half-hearted or, coming with hat in hand type of an action, and it results in no sale. And then what do you say to yourself and those around you? See, I told you so. And it is a negative self-fulfilling prophecy. So we've got to take out the negative self-talk. We've got to take out that head trash. I call it head trash. You call it what you want. We got to get rid of the head trash. So hear me now and listen to me later. If you sell a product or a service today, then you don't deserve the sale anyway. If you're selling customer success, if you're helping a prospect or a customer solve a problem, resolve a pain, then you've got your head right. But if you're just out there selling a product or service, you don't deserve it right now. Don't let your feelings dictate your actions. Use your actions to dictate your beliefs. Look, if you don't change your own attitudes and beliefs about prospecting right now, then you've already lost the battle. The fact is, prospecting is the lifeblood of my business. It's the lifeblood of your business. It's the lifeblood of any business. And we have to understand that sales is a noble profession. You have to believe in you as a person. You've got to believe in your products and service. You've got to believe in your company and its ability to deliver said products and services. You've got to believe in that all of those things come together to solve a problem for a client, and they need that right now, and that your marketplace will bear that. So that is the self-fulfilling prophecy. So I want you to really concentrate and focus on that and give that some thought as to what's going on inside of your mind right now. So what is prospecting? How do we define prospecting? First of all, I'll tell you what it's not. Prospecting is not selling. Prospecting is having conversations. And conversations are about process. not about the result, they're about the process. So when you're having a conversation with someone, the goal is not to be selling. It's to be having a conversation. It's to be understanding. It's to be focused on them, focused on what their issues are, and have a conversation about a process, because we've all got clients right now that aren't purchasing. They're not, some of them are not spending money right now. Some are doing great. Some are just fine. Some of them aren't spending money right now, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to spend money 2 weeks from now or 2 months from now. So the process leads you to that point in time that they do and that they will purchase a solution from you that solves a problem. But don't get prospecting mixed up with selling. Prospecting is about having conversations. And I'm going to talk about some ways that I believe that you can have conversations today and into the future here in a little bit. So I said that you need to think differently. You need some mindset tweaks. I need some mindset tweaks. We all need some mindset tweaks around this whole process and this whole situation that we've all found ourselves in, right? And the focus here has got to be on helping versus selling. Look, no one wants a salesperson right now, but lots of people want help. Can you help? It's about how versus what. People will always buy, listen to me, people will always buy how you sell long before they buy what you sell. And the how begins with that first contact. The how begins with that conversation. And it's important that you understand the difference between conversation and confrontation. When a salesperson says, "Let me tell you what you need," that is confrontation. When a salesperson says, "What do you need today?" that's confrontation. Instead, it could sound something like this. "Hey, Bill, this is Frank. Look, I know you probably don't want to hear from me right now because you're inundated, but I wanted to just take 2 minutes to see how you and your family and your employees are doing." That's a conversation. That is a conversation that could lead to a deeper conversation. Right now, we need to be having conversations, not confrontations. Prospecting is proactive, not reactive. So, well, good prospecting is proactive and not reactive. So a social media post plus a bunch of hope is not proactive. Proactive is something that intentionally, that is intentional, that will prompt a reply. So it's a conversation starter that will prompt a reply and get a conversation going. So proactive, not reactive. I'm not saying you shouldn't post on social media. I'm not saying you shouldn't post good content on LinkedIn. That's great, but that's not prospecting, okay? And then prospecting has got to be intentional versus, that should say accidental. Intentional versus accidental, all right? Good prospecting has to be on purpose, not by accident. Pardon my technology faux pas there. So there's 3 steps that I want to talk about, and they are plan, prepare, and practice. And all professionals do this. Every professional in every field, from sports to you name it, sales, you name it, has got to plan and prepare and practice. And this is what we got to do for good practicing. This requires us to plan. Who do we want to talk to? How do we start that conversation? Is it telephone? Is it text? Is it email? Is it a LinkedIn message, not a post, but a message? Is it giving or asking for an introduction? It is a conversation. We have to plan that conversation. I'm going to talk about 2 books here in just a minute, and one of them is going to be a plan that includes that conversation in it. Next is prepare. You've got to prepare. When you decide who you want to talk to and how you're going to talk to them, you've got to prepare. Look, there is so many different ways to do research right now, and my favorite is LinkedIn. You can go to someone's LinkedIn, and if they're active on there, then they will be posting things, and you can kind of see where their head's at right now. Are they in flight mode? Are they in fight mode? Are they freezing? You can kind of tell. You can also go to their company LinkedIn page, and you can look at their other employees and kind of get a feel for where they and their company are at right now. Look at their website. Look at press releases. Look at any announcements that might be out there, especially on their website or out just on the internet in general. Are they talking about entrenching? Are they talking about laying off? Are they talking about closing locations? Are they talking about those things that might be flight or freeze? Or are they talking about hiring and expanding and coming out of this blip that we've got in our economy right now? Are they hiring? That's a great sign, right? Do your research before you talk to people, and then practice the conversation. Practice, practice, practice. That means that you need to talk about this with your coworkers, walk through your plans, prepare together, role play some of these things, right? And the best way to do that is to have all of this information down. Prepare those quality questions early. So what could some of these questions look like? How about, hey, Bob, just checking in with you. When's a good time today to have a quick 2-minute conversation? And if today's bad, let me know when would be good tomorrow. That could be a text message. That could be an email. That could be a LinkedIn message, but that's a proactive conversation starter with a prospect or a client. A help call could sound something like this. Hey, Bob, I know things are upside down right now. I hope that you and yours are safe and sound. Is there anyone that you might need to know right now that I might be able to introduce you to? Another way to say that is, Bob, during this time of uncertainty, is there anything that you might be trying to accomplish that a referral from me would help you solve? Okay? Proactive, conversational, practice these things, prepare these things, plan for these things. Look, if I'm not planning, if I'm not preparing, and if I'm not practicing, by definition, I'm an amateur. All professionals prepare, they plan, they prepare, and they practice. Okay? 3 keys to keep in mind, and they are around mindset, intent, and goals. Number 1 is mindset. We've talked about changing your attitude, changing your belief. What's going on in your head right now is the question I have to ask myself is my mind focused on a mindset conducive to prospecting today? And I mean today, not 3 weeks ago or not 2 months ago, because that was totally different. I'm talking about today. Have I switched my mindset from selling to helping? Look, if you are in the selling mindset, then you're going to sound like a salesperson and you're going to get treated like a salesperson. And quite frankly, you deserve to be. If you're in a helping mindset, you're going to sound like a trusted advisor. You're focused on them, and they're going to treat you like a trusted advisor. All right? That trust has got to be earned, and you can't violate it, right? We're here to help right now. If it's 2 weeks till we get a sale or 2 months till we get a sale, so be it. Right now, we're in a different mindset. Next is intent. Again, you've got your mindset, selling, helping. Is your intent to make a sale, or is your intent to help right now? Is your intent the end result, or is your intent the process? I submit to you that it should be on the process. Is it about me, or is it about them? If I say things like, what do you need? Or, hey, we're having a sale. Or, hey, we're having a special, we've got a special going on right now. That's about me. That's not about them. All right. And key number 3 is goals. And these goals need to be very specific, very intentional. We've all heard and seen SMART goals, SMART, or SMARTER goals, SMARTER. If you don't know what that means, Google it. I'm not going through it right here. But the point of this is here that what are the behaviors that you must do? What are the things that you must do to be to have results in your prospecting right now? And these are things that you can control, right? You can't control the result, but you can control how you enter into a conversation and help somebody go through a process. And understand that your behavior drives your attitude. It's not the other way around. It's your behavior. So that wheel that we talked about back there, it goes both ways. Behavior drives attitude. So what are your plans and your goals and your actions right now? Do you have them committed to paper? Do you have them etched in stone, just like you've got your good, solid questions? Prospecting. Why do we fail? Why do we fail at prospecting? And this is today during the pandemic, and this was a month ago pre-pandemic, right? The reason we fail, it's one word, and that is excuses. A mentor of mine says you can either make sales or excuses, but not both. Which one do you want to do? So what are your excuses? Now you could tweak that and say you can either make good prospecting connections, or you can make excuses, but not both. What are your excuses? I know what mine are. What are your excuses? And I'm talking about the ones that impact your results. Excuses have a funny way of turning themselves into facts inside of our head. And excuses cause us to relinquish control of our personal futures. Imagine that. Head trash derailing your future. What is your mindset? Give that some space. Give that some consideration. What is your mindset? And then let's talk about how do we get better? How do we get better in uncertain times? There's 2 books, and excuse me. First one's a cookbook, and I'm going to spend a little time on the cookbook. And a playbook is the second one. The playbook is your cookbook is part of your playbook, and your playbook is your go-to-market strategy, your sales playbook. If you do not have a sales playbook, then I encourage you to get a sales playbook. If you do not have a prospecting cookbook, I encourage you to build a prospecting cookbook. So what do you think of when you think of a cookbook? You think of recipes, right? Well, what is a recipe? It's a list of ingredients with their measurements and the order in which they go into whatever you're making. All right. So ingredients are your actions, and the measurements are the quantities of your actions. What are you going to put in your cookbook today that wasn't potentially in your cookbook 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago? What's in there today that wasn't in there then? Well, I've got 10 and a half activities that are things that you might consider if you're not already doing them. And I'm going to walk you through these here. First is the touch call. All right. These are people that we don't do business with, or we've probably met them and we've talked to them in the past. They could be strategic partners of ours. And a conversation in this touch call might sound something like this. Hey, Bill, we met at a chamber event, and you probably don't want to hear from me right now. I'm not trying to sell anything. You were just on my mind, and I wanted to see how you were pressing through this crazy time that we're all going through. That's a conversation. There's no confrontation in that. That begins a good conversation. Second one, and it's somewhat related, but this is probably this check-in and check-up calls. This is probably our existing clients. Could sound something like this. Hey, Sue, I'm curious. Were you guys classified as essential or not? What does that mean to your business? How can we support you at this time? It's a conversation. Next is email or text. Today, I will guarantee you People are monitoring their email and their text much closer than they did a couple of weeks ago. Engage in conversation type messages and be succinct and be very clear. My favorite is LinkedIn messages. And don't forget to ask me about the free ebook. We've got a free LinkedIn selling using LinkedIn ebook that I'd love to send you. So put in the comments if you want the ebook or not, and I'll send it to you. So LinkedIn messages, I love this, and I've been doing a lot of this, and it's really working. I think right now people are sitting at home and they are on their computers and they're on their LinkedIn more now than they have been in the past. So I'm not talking about a post. I'm talking about proactive. You should still be posting good, valuable content, but an interaction might sound something like this. And I've had really good luck with this specific interaction. Hi, Maria. Thanks for connecting. Or if they've been a connection for a while, thanks for being a connection on LinkedIn. How is your business thriving through all of this chaos? I'm curious about how other business leaders are adapting and overcoming. Are you doing anything different right now to press through? And there may be a couple of people that are on this webinar that have gotten a message very similar to that from me. And it's because I'm going in and looking at people and seeing, hey, who do I want to have conversations with? I'm not throwing out some sales blurb that is potentially confrontational. It's conversation. And then after the conversation has started, why not say, hey, let's grab some time on a Zoom call today or tomorrow. Let's touch base and see if we might be able to support one another during this time. Let's put a voice to the profile. Fair? What's a good time for you? I'll send you a calendar invite with a link to a Zoom call. That right there is gold, and you should be using it. If you might want to consider, using it if you're not. My critical parent came through there. Sorry about that. Next, number 5 is mail stuff. You can mail people books. You could cut out articles, anything that is pertinent to them and it'll add value to them. Cut it out, pop it in the mail to them. Thank you cards. Zig Ziglar said, how do you know when someone needs encouragement? They're breathing. Trust me, everyone needs encouragement right now. Add this to your cookbook activity. Send a note of encouragement to people. Send them cards of gratitude. How about a we're open message? Hey, look, we're open. Are you? Or, hey, we're closed to the public right now because of the order, but we're operational. Here's my cell phone number if you need anything. 7.5, because it's very related, but it could be revised business hours, revised hours of operation. Hey, look, we are going 7 to 7 right now. We're 10 to 4, and here's the reasons why. We've got a new modality of delivery. My business went from classroom. I've got a physical classroom, but we took everything online, and we're doing all of our training through Zoom right now. Shareable content, man, articles that might be interesting to them or something specific that'll add value to them. Send people good information right now. Make or ask for introductions. Hey, who can I introduce you to right now? Or who could benefit from who do you that you know could benefit from what we do? And then the last one is connecting resources. And that could be people, it could be other things, but any resources that you could connect somebody with, something that they might need right now to help them get through this. Those 10.5 activities are things that you might want to add. Use the shopping cart. Take the ones you need, leave the ones you don't, and add some of these things to your prospecting cookbook. Okay, I'm done here. I want to thank you for attending. Thanks for joining us. I've got a free resource. This is an absolutely, completely, 100% free resource, and this is directly from Sandler. The address is stp.sandler.com/sell. There's hundreds of hours of audio and video learning here. There's a ton of articles and white papers and different webinars, lots of stuff here. stp.sandler.com/sell. If I'm sending you the book, I'll also send you that link. And if you don't want the book, but you want the link, put that in the chat. So, in closing, look, two things. Number one is we're all in this together. And the second thing is this too shall pass. Look, in the meantime, if there's any way that I could serve you in any way, form, or fashion, you can reach me on my cell phone. It's an easy number, 817-771-1313. Or let's connect on LinkedIn. Go out there and make it a great day.